What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Harrison, and the internet has been surprisingly a fun place today. We're talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro, and before I get started, I don't want to take away for someone that is excited for this product, because I mean, new consoles are always fun. They're always they're always exciting usually. But in this case, yeah, let's just dive into the PlayStation 5 Pro and my thoughts. I put up a video before why I still think the PS5 Pro or any mid-gen console is totally unnecessary. I mean, the opinion across, I think across the board of gaming right now is this console generation has been extremely lackluster. We just have not gotten a lot of, first party games from Xbox and PlayStation as well. We've gotten more from PlayStation, but there's been, they had Horizon was a PS4, PS5 game. God of War Ragnarok was a PS4, PS5 game. So just this generation just hasn't felt unique, hasn't felt like a proper generation, if that makes sense. So when we had the rumors about this Pro getting revealed, a lot of people were like, yeah, we don't need it. It feels like this generation hasn't even gotten started yet. So that's kind of the sentiment across the board, I think, that people have right now. And then of course, we got the reveal. Let's start with the reveal itself, the presentation itself overall, regardless of, we're not going to dive into the pricing yet. I thought the presentation was bad. I thought it was one of Sony's PlayStation's worst presentations ever. If they were trying to stir up hype for a PS5 Pro, an upgraded model of the PS5, I think they did a terrible job. For one, they didn't have a single new game to talk about, which, it doesn't make sense to me, but we don't, outside of Wolverine, we don't, and Death Stranding 2, we don't have a lot of games that they could showcase. So maybe they're waiting for a state of play or whatever the case is. But the fact that they talked about The Last of Us 2 and God of War and Horizon Forbidden West and a couple of other games, I don't know about you guys, but I don't get excited for previous games to run better on an upgraded model. I've beaten those games. All those games were great. The Last of Us, God of War, Spider-Man, all those ran great on PS4 and PS5. The ones that were, whatever. All those games already ran really well. I didn't really feel like when I was playing Spider-Man, I wasn't not one time that I was like, man, I really wish I had stronger hardware to run this. It ran perfectly fine in my opinion. Now, when they did do the comparison, I mean, you could see it, but it wasn't a huge difference. It just wasn't, in my opinion. Maybe, some people will think it's a huge difference, but when Mark Cerny was just saying it's a remarkable difference, it's not. I mean, there's a difference there, but it's not a huge difference. It just isn't. So seeing old games run better on new hardware, that just, again, I've played those games already. How is that going to stir up excitement for anybody? And looking at all the comments, this is the first time I think I've ever seen the internet agree on one thing, and a PlayStation product of all things. So again, they didn't do a very good job of stirring up the excitement. And then even when they were showing off the graphical differences, they put it in a really tiny box on the screen. It was weird. I guess they were trying to maybe zoom in. I don't know. I thought the presentation was bad. I thought I don't know, the stuff that they were focusing on, the ray tracing, I still don't think ray tracing is all there. I think that's in the idea itself. I just don't think it's, I don't know. There's something about ray tracing that developers are focusing on so much, and I think that's what's really causing these issues with frame rate and fidelity and stuff, like performance mode and fidelity, which is what they talked about. And it still doesn't even seem like they're 100% guaranteeing that developers are going to make it a seamless, like what, like a normal game, game back in the day where there was no options. It was just it's going to run at 60 and it's going to have like the best graphics possible. Like it didn't even feel like they were confident in when they were relaying that information to us. So yeah, I just thought the presentation was awful. It was 9 minutes of, and 2 minutes of that was like saying how great the base PS5 was, and they're like, but there's some issues with the fidelity and performance mode, and they transitioned over to the PS5 Pro. I don't know. I just thought the presentation was bad overall. And then we get to the price. The price. The price was rumored already, so we already knew what it was going into it, but for them to PlayStation to have the audacity, $700, diskless, no disk drive. You can add on the disk drive that I think you already have with the PS5 Slim. That's an extra $80. So all things said and done, if you want to play your discs on this machine because you probably have a lot of discs from, if you are looking to upgrade. So hopefully you have that extra disk drive. If you don't, well, you're paying $800 for this thing. So no disk drive. There is an increase in storage, so that's good. And they still, that stupid, that damn stand, that $30 piece of plastic that they were already charging people for, they still could not include that in this thing. Vertical stand sold separately. It's marked right there, clear as day. It's so stupid. I don't want to say this thing is a scam, but it again, and I had this feeling before even going into this. I just felt like this is totally unnecessary. God, I hope Xbox doesn't do something like this. It sounds like they're not. It sounds like their next thing is going to be some sort of handheld or hybrid or something like that. But it just feels so unnecessary. And again, I know it's not for everybody. It's going to sell. I don't know how well it's going to sell, but probably not if it's $700. But this is for the people that want to upgrade. So I get that it's already a niche market, but let's face it, PlayStation's choice of products here recently have been questionable, to say the least. Like, they've had their PlayStation Portal device, their little Wi-Fi only handheld, which looks really cool. And I had thought about picking it up, but once I found out that it was, Wi-Fi only, remote only, that just doesn't, I don't think it sat well with a lot of people, and a lot of people just passed over it. If it was a dedicated device, or at least something where maybe you could just download one game onto it and then play it without needing to be connected to the internet, that would be cool. Obviously, that would be way more expensive than the $200 price point it's at. And then their VR2, I don't think really anybody wanted. The VR1 didn't sell super well. It also was abandoned pretty early on by PlayStation. They didn't really make a lot of first party games, and look at the VR2. It's the same exact way. So the trust in PlayStation for me with some of their products isn't that great. So now we come on to the $200 PlayStation 5 Pro. Doesn't include a disc drive, doesn't include the vertical stand, which, whatever, it's a $30 stand, but still, it's the audacity that they would do that. And and I think what kind of worries me about this price point is, yes, the price point is terrible. But what does that mean for the future? Is PlayStation testing the waters with what they may be able to get away with in terms of price? Because if this is $700, what's the PS6 going to look like? Is it going to be 800? Is it going to be 700? Is it going to be 1,000? That's what worries me. We're getting into the Apple levels of ridiculously overpricing our things, which, PlayStation was already kind of teetering in that direction, but now with this crazy device, it's just insane to me. You know, at least they could include, like, I don't know, like if they put in like the dual, like the DualSense Edge or something in there, which I know is a $200 thing, but maybe an upgraded dual. I don't know. It's just insane, and that's just US only. You know, Canada, I think it's $850. In other markets, it's going to be even more expensive than that. So again, it's crazy to see the internet agreeing on something for once, and all it took was the PlayStation Pro to get it officially announced. I know, you know, we don't do the console war thing over here, but I know Xbox is over there like doing a sigh of relief. Finally, the heat is off of us, because it really feels like all this year, like PlayStation and Xbox have been just back and forth with negative press. More so on the Xbox side, obviously, but you know, with the recent stuff with Concord, you know, how bad, you know, that game performed, it did. But then you have like an industry darling with Astrobot, and everybody is praising this game like it's game of the year for so many people. And it's getting back to what PlayStation was, you know, great single player games, none of this live service nonsense. It also didn't have like any sort of like early access or whatever, you know, $100 edition to play it 3 days early. It was just a great 3D platformer. And then we get this. So I just feel like PlayStation has lost their way. I feel like they feel like they're they're obviously the big dog between Xbox and PlayStation. They're the big ones. It kind of feels a little bit reminiscent of PlayStation with the, you know, Sony and the PlayStation 3, you know, when they came out a year later on the market. Their PS3 was, what was it, $200 more expensive or $100 more expensive? It was like a $600 machine or something like that, if I'm remembering correctly. So the audacity for them back then, because the PlayStation 2 did so well compared to the Xbox, they thought that they could get away with that price, and they quickly realized that they could not. And it screwed them for a long time. I think they eventually did end up outselling the Xbox 360, but that took years and years to get there. And obviously, we know with the Xbox and its, you know, red ring of death issue, that you know, obviously that helped PlayStation, but it feels like they need to be humbled a little bit. I hope this thing sells poorly. I'm not someone in gaming where I want to see something perform bad regardless if I like it or not, because I don't want people to lose their jobs. But I hope this thing fails. I hope this wakes Sony up, humbles them a little bit, brings them back down to earth, that nobody, regardless of if people want to upgrade or not, or they feel like they need this thing, $700 is insane. That's an insane asking price for gaming. And again, it scares me for the future on what these companies can feel like they can get away with charging. Because a lot of people were, you know, the people that are defending it, or they're, oh, you know, inflation's hit everywhere. I don't think this is inflation. You know, I think this is just corporate greed on what they can get away with. And that's my opinion. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine. That's your opinion as well. But they're testing the waters for this stuff, and we'll see how it looks in the future for their PS6. We'll see. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'm not angry. I've seen a lot of people that are like angry with their fists up in the sky. You don't have to buy the thing. Like, this isn't the PS6. This isn't the next generation of consoles. You don't have to buy it. It's a very niche product, but we've got to question it. I think we have to question it. And I hope, and obviously PlayStation, they're not going to change the price of it. But hopefully, I mean, if the pre-order numbers are low, maybe, you know, they'll look at that stuff in the future and be like, yeah, we way overcharge it. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'll let YouTube algorithm pick one of my videos below for you guys to watch. Give it a click, and I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.